All right, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Smith, and in this video, I'm going to discuss a very simple mechanic and bunkai of Naihanchi kata. Traditionally, there's a sequence where a punch is coming from the side, and you're going to block it with an outside and middle block, and then you slide in the bunkai, not necessarily in the kata, but you slide in, grab the person by the back of the head, and draw them into an elbow in the kata, both the kata and the bunkai that's there. It's just that it's a little bit subtle. Now, realistically, you probably don't want to be at grappling range at that close of a grappling range if you were actually outnumbered 3-1 as the number of demonstration partners there usually is with Naihanchi kata. Because I've heard some fairy tale nonsense that you're fighting 3 opponents with your back against the wall to keep a 4th person from flanking you and all this kind of stuff. Probably, in some reality, if your opponents are not very experienced, you can do that kind of thing. Just a second, I got a phone call. That's some kind of scammer. Anyway, but so realistically, you can use the Naihanchi clenched elbow from a standard fighting stance, guard stance. Supposing that the punch is coming in, and it say you're the opponent, and you're throwing a right cross or a right hook. I'm going to block with an outside middle block. Wow, it's not very hard to go from standing guard position to right there to block. All right, so don't tell me that doesn't work. All right, I'm going to block with an outside middle block, and then I'm going to shoot in, grab you by the back of your head, and draw you into that. All right. And so this is rarely seen in MMA because usually the opponent is good enough not to get hit by it. But when it is seen in MMA, it is usually a instant lights out knockout. And I don't mean a 10 count knockout. I mean the dude is on the ground, lights out. We've seen it a couple times happen. And I think that for 185 pounds and above weight classes, this technique might even need to be banned because I can throw a 1,000-pound right cross, even though I've had 4 strokes. It doesn't affect my right hand as bad as it affects my left hand or my feet. All right. And if I can do it, then an active pro fighter at 185 pounds ideal weight, because I'm supposed to be 185 if I wasn't overweight. But an ideal fighter at 185 pounds, like Sean Strickland or Dricus Duplessis, or who's the guy that just beat Dricus? Why can't I remember his name? It's hard to pronounce. Anyway, if you took one of the 3 or 4 best 185-pound fighters and they throw a clenched elbow strike, you're looking at 2,000 plus pounds of force. All right. So there's a risk there of permanently injuring the person, is what I'm getting at. And it's why I think that technique, although rarely seen, needs to be banned from weight classes of 185 or above, simply because you're likely to break the person's jaw or crush their skull. If you hit them in the temple or something like that, you can break the orbital bone of the eye pretty easily. I mean, if a punch can break the orbital bone of the eye, then certainly a clenched elbow strike straight into the orbital bone is going to crush the thing. So you see my point here. You're looking at permanent critical injury to people. But for street self-defense, that's fine. We don't give a damn if we hurt our original attacker. We call 911 and report the incident. By the way, I just defended myself. Some jackass attacked me in the street at such and such address. All right. You should call 911 even if you win the fight. And if you lose the fight, you probably need medical attention. You should call 911 too. But so again, either a right cross or a right hook punch is coming in. We're in our standing guard, body support 45-degree angle roughly, guard about roughly chin to cheek high. The right cross or right hook is coming in. You're going to block and just shoot your arm along their arm to the back of their head and step in and deliver a clenched elbow strike. All right. And we're talking about something that realistically, especially for true heavyweights that are 225 to 265 in MMA, they can probably hit with close to 3,000 pounds force with that. because you're pulling and punching at the same time with the elbow into the cup of your hand. All right. And then all right. Now, don't tell me that this concept was invented by Naihanchi. It's one of the oldest katas in martial arts. We're not even sure who invented it. It's so old. And when there are leg checks and avoiding the sweep and avoiding low kicks in Naihanchi. So, like if a low kick is coming in, I can either just totally avoid the low kick, or I can check the low kick depending on how high the low kick is, right? If it's a calf kick, I can just pick my foot up and totally avoid it. If it's a thigh kick, I can pick my leg up and check it if I need to. Oh, you should not check every thigh kick that comes in, all right? Because the thigh is actually a bigger and sturdier target than the bones of your lower leg. You only need to check about 1 out of every 2 or 3 attacks that are placed against your thigh. That way, you distribute some of the load to other parts of your leg. You don't want to go around checking every kick that the opponent throws, because you're likely to break your own lower leg than you are to protect yourself. So that's a myth in martial arts. And a lot of times they do it wrong in mixed martial arts, which is why we've actually seen people get their lower legs broken. All right. But Naihanchi has avoiding sweeps and avoiding low kicks and stuff like that. And there are no kicks in Naihanchi kata, but they could just as easily be there, because when you avoid, well, technically they are there. Let me show you. When an attacker either in front of me, when an attacker in front of me is trying to sweep my leg, and I do this motion, all right, to avoid being swept, I could just be throwing a cross-heel stomp kick into the knee. Let me use my other leg, because I've been having sciatica in my left leg, and I can't do the motion correctly anymore. All right. So let's say that I'm fighting this way and he's sweeping my front leg for some reason. I avoid the sweep and I cross-heel stomp kick to the inside of his knee. All right. All right. So, and typically, whenever I would throw a cross-heel stomp kick, I would do it off my back leg, so it would get even wicked power. The opponent doesn't know if I'm going for a knee. I may even do a knee. All right. But doesn't know if I'm going for a knee. Doesn't know if I'm going for a kick to the body or what. But I just sneak this kick into the side of the knee and crush his knee. But in this case, you're going to pick your leg up, avoiding their sweep, and then you're going to kick to the inside or outside of their plant leg and pretty much rupture their knee, and they're going to be on the ground bawling in pain like a 2-year-old is what's going to happen to them. All right, understand? A couple months ago, and forgive me, I don't remember the fighters' names because there were 2 unknowns, but it was an MMA match on television, on cable television. And one of the fighters, it was an accident, but the other guy went for an inside leg kick, and ended up hitting him straight in the knee, and the kneecap cut through the flesh all the way down the side of his knee, and the bones were sticking out, and he was immediately floored on the mat, and they had to call it a no contest, obviously, because it destroyed his leg right there on the spot, and he likely needed surgery, a lot of surgery, to fix that. And it was a complete accident that he got hit in the knee. All right. So that's an accidental kick to the knee. Imagine what an intentional stomp kick to the inside or outside of edge of the knee will do to your opponent, same weight class versus same weight class. And that's why this is taught as a basic kick in Isshinryu karate. The cross-heel stomp kick and the forward angle or diagonal kick are also taught with targets being the knee. The forward angle kick, as it seems, it kicks forward at a 45-degree angle, targeting usually the outside of an opponent's knee. So street self-defense works completely differently than sport fighting. And the moves in street self-defense are usually banned in sports fighting because they are so brutal that they destroy the person's arm or leg or face or whatever for a reason. because that's what your opponent is trying to do to you in a street self-defense, and you have to do it back to them better. All right. So anyway, I was originally talking about the Naihanchi kata clenched elbow, but I did get a little off topic because I wanted to show that the kata technically does have the kick, the cross-held stomp kick, although it's actually taught as avoiding a sweep, but that could just as easily be the cross-held stomp kick to the inside of the knee. All right. Thank you very much for watching. And you could do the legal elliptical kick to the thigh instead of that, but for MMA, but it's there. So they were teaching this hundreds of years ago. It's not like this is some new kind of fight science that for some reason MMA fighters and especially BJJ fighters like to claim all their techniques are new, that they were invented by the Gracies or by Marco Ruas or someone like that. And this stuff has actually been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. All right. If your instructor knew what they were doing and taught you correctly, instead of just giving you a paper black belt, you would know this stuff.